The views expressed are solely those of the individuals providing them and do not reflect the opinions of the Team Sock Passe podcasts or their respective affiliates or sponsors. This episode is sponsored by LS Cream, the perfect blend of spices and tradition inspired by Haitian cremas. Please drink responsibly.
Sock Passe. What's up, world? Welcome to another episode of the Team Sock Passe podcast. My name is Glad.
And I'm your boy, Rob. We are your favorite Team Sock Passe podcast show where we shoot dope entrepreneurs from all sectors of industry. And remember, subscribe, share, comment below. Subscribe, share, comment below. Yo, Glad, bro.
Powerful episode. We're about to change some lives. We met these brothers a couple months ago at a dope event. If you're interested in buying land and owning your own piece of land, this is the episode for you. And creating generational wealth, this is the episode for you. We want to introduce Ray and Jay from the Acre Boyzz. You see the T-shirts, the Acre Boyzz, double Z.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Welcome
sir.
to the podcast, my brother.
Appreciate
Yes,
that, brother.
sir.
How y'all doing?
Green.
How y'all doing? Listen. Green is for money. Let's
No
go.
doubt.
Let's
No
go.
doubt.
Let's go.
No
right,
doubt.
all
Green is
right.
for money.
Yeah, freak that intro.
Yeah, I like that.
No doubt.
Because we got something similar. I like the flow. You know
No
what I'm
doubt.
saying? Yeah.
Yo, man, when we first met a couple months ago at Sheeta 3's event, shout out to Sheeta 3, the energy was high, man, and you was giving a powerful information in that short 5 to 10 minute interview that you gave us about owning land and purchasing land. And so we're going to dive deep into that topic today. So first of all, how you guys feeling, man? I saw you guys popping off at the Invest Fest. How was the Invest Fest, man? Talk to us about that.
Listen, an Invest Fest was amazing. I'm talking about, if anybody's never went, I'm talking about 20,000 people ready to learn, ready to execute. And it's definitely a time for us where we went down there. We haven't been on social media for that long, probably about 8-9 months, whatever the case may be. And just going down there and feeling the love in person was excellent. It was amazing.
You got you guys recharged.
Amazing.
Wow.
Definitely
so did
got
you go,
recharged.
Did you guys go last year?
No,
last
it's
year?
our first year.
It's your first
First
year.
year.
Okay, cool.
First year,
cool.
yeah.
All right.
We kind of went with a specific agenda, and that was to see how everything that we've done in the last 8 months would transfer into real life and meeting people in person.
Right.
And the love was definitely overwhelming.
For sure.
And it just let us know that what we're doing is being accepted amongst our people. And that's what is most gratifying, that we out here really giving actual things that people could tap into to have some impact on their lives. So
For sure.
That's
For sure.
was a huge success.
Huge success.
You know what I want to know? When we were doing the interview with Charles, our previous interview,
Yep.
we were kind of letting Charles know how me and Rob, how we met, and how people call us the dynamic duo, Batman and Robin, whatever. I want to know how you guys met, because you guys kind of remind me of Rob and myself. You guys know how to brand, similar shirts. You guys are always together, and you guys are putting out positive information. How did you guys meet, man?
We met as actual friends through a mutual friend, and it was just actually just hanging out. That's how we started off, just hanging out together at a time. We're both from New York. The city used to be on fire. We don't know that.
Yeah.
Flames on fire, for real.
Mars 2112.
Yeah.
So we did a lot of hanging out.
Right.
And then from there, we just got close just through hanging out. He was a solid brother. I was a solid brother. We both was like-minded when it came to chasing the bag, trying to get to the paper. And through that, we started doing things together, just trying to change our situations at that time in Capitol Bill.
Yeah, for sure. And one other thing I would just touch on and add to that, just getting with somebody, we were both at the stage in our life at the current time where we both had enough. You know what I mean? Had enough of everything going the way it was going. At a certain point in time, you reach a pivotal moment where you're going to keep on doing what you were doing before, or you're going to make the pivot and change into something that's going to change your life. And that's what we got together and did. You know what I'm saying? So
That's what's up. So now you guys, Acre Boyzz.
Yes, sir.
Who came up with that concept?
I think that's him. That's him right there. He came up with that name. Yeah.
Why Acre Boyzz?
Because that's what we do.
Right.
We buy a lot of acres, so
Right,
it was
right.
only right that we were the Acre Boyzz. And we came up with the name because we buy land. That's what we do full time for a living.
Right.
And land is not the most sexiest space. So we said if we're gonna touch social media with something that's not sexy, how do we make this look good amongst our people? We know that in our culture, we thrive off how it looks. You know what I mean? So that's where the name Acre Boyzz came from. What would be catchy? What would make people stop and say, well, what is this? What is that brand? I mean, we're selling dirt. That's literally what we're doing. We're selling dirt. So we need things to make it attractive to our people. We want our people to feel like they're getting involved in something that's similar to, same way you tap into your favorite artist, right? Their name, their brand, their song. We want you to tap into the land space that way. So we found the way to sexy it up. We thought it was a dope name, Acre Boyzz. It has a ring to it.
For sure.
So that's why we stuck with it.
For sure. And definitely just a resignation from people because, when you're looking to impact people, like usually when you're looking to impact people, what tends to happen is, first of all, you're impacting people that look like you. That's where the hats and all of that stuff came from. That's where all of that stuff, because in order for people to listen to you on any kind of level, first they have to resonate with who you are and actually what you do. And just as a testament to what he was saying, there's so many kids right now that never even thought about, buying a piece of land. Because first of all, they didn't even know it was possible. You know what I mean? So just to having a testament to that and people coming up to us like, I bought my first land because of you. I bought my first piece of property off a free piece of information that you give out. That's gratifying in itself.
That's what's up. So you guys both grew up born and raised in New York?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. What part?
Yes, sir.
Part?
I was a crossbreeding between Freeport and Uniondale.
And I grew up in Roosevelt, and that's a town in Long Island. For those that don't know.
Yeah, for sure.
So now you guys growing up in New York, there's a lot of people now talking about real estate and stuff like that, but the land is different.
Completely.
I mean, there's a lot of land on Long Island. There's a lot of land out there.
A lot of expensive land.
A lot of expensive land.
Yeah.
So that's a great segue. So buying land, like people don't know exactly, okay, I want to buy land, but I don't know, perhaps one day, I remember a few years ago they say, oh, you buy land, perhaps one day, there might be a Walmart that may want to buy land from you. So, like, most of your lands are the ones that you buy, are they here in New York, or are they, like, out of state mainly, or, like, where?
Yeah, for sure. Well, we invest all throughout the country, right? And I mean everywhere. We're everywhere from Alabama to Texas to Mississippi. We're all over the place, right? And one thing that people find interesting about what we do is everything is done virtually. We never have to go ahead and visit the property. Based off of the tools and resources that are available, we're able to do everything from the comfort of our home, evaluate the properties, and do everything we need to do. So we're able to be what I call everywhere and nowhere at the same time.
And primarily we focus on rural markets, and the reason that we do that is because I don't care what state that you come from, primarily every state works the same way in this country, right? Once you get outside of the city limits, I don't care where you're from, it gets rural, and it gets rural quick. Only thing is that we didn't know that those rural communities was for sale. Half of America is vacant and undeveloped. 47% of it, in fact, is undeveloped and vacant, and it's on sale. What happens in New York City when they can't build anymore, right? What happens in the city of Chicago when they can't build anymore? What happens in the city of Atlanta when they can't build anymore? It's overcrowded, it's stuff. They start to push out into rural communities. Who owns the land? Is that land valuable? Of course it is, because they can't put anything else in the heart of New York City, in the heart of Atlanta. That's why you see in Atlanta, you start seeing subdivisions popping up. Nobody lives in Atlanta. Everybody lives around Atlanta, and they're looking for the next subdivision. So who owns the next subdivision? The houses are not up before the land. You have to buy the land first. Wow. Even if you live in the heart of New York City, it didn't always exist. It started off as vacant land.
Wow.
Just do your history.
Yes, for sure.
Powerful stuff. Now, before we dive deep into how do you buy land, how much, and all of that stuff, I just want to know, how did you guys stumble into the process of
Right.
researching or just this industry of buying, as you said, dirt.
Right.
But as we all know, dirt is very valuable in this country. For
sure.
But how did you guys stumble into this?
Yeah, listen, dirt is like an unconventional process, right? It really is, right? Because first thing when we first started off touching into land, we started off in a space called tax deeds. Tax deeds where you're actually going to the county and you're purchasing properties at pennies on the dollar or whatever the case may be, and you turn around and selling those for profit. Back in those days, this is about 6-7 years ago, we still dibble and dabble right now. Right now, back then, we were buying those properties for about $50, and we would turn around and sell them anywhere between $2,500 and $3,000.
A $50 tax deed?
$50 tax deed. That's what we were doing back then. Now, keep in mind, I'm gonna go a little bit deeper, right?
Please.
Our mentors.
You just dropped that bomb. That
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
Like, that's like
$50.
normal.
For sure.
I'll say salute. Cheers to
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Cheers to $50.
I'm
man.
gonna bring it up.
I mean,
I'm gonna bring it up. Yes, sir.
$50.
Where did you get this $50 tax deed?
Yeah, for
what
sure.
town? What
For
country?
sure.
What state?
And before I even go there, right, our mentors that were early before us, they were buying tax deeds for $50 and selling them for $10,000, and they were rolling them because they were early inside of the game. Now, where we started at, the place that we started at is Arkansas, right? Arkansas has a place that you can go to, and I give your audience a free gem, right? It's www.cosl.org. There you can go ahead and find tax deed properties for very little denominations that you can go ahead and turn those properties into profit. Well, that's where we got our start off. We started off in Arkansas, and what I mean to tell you, we bought hundreds of those properties and sold hundreds of those properties just based off of understanding the tax deed space and investing in an asset that most people knew nothing about.
Damn.
Yeah.
Wow.
$50, Joe.
Joe, you got $50?
Yeah, I think he looked like he got $50.
So you're talking about, all right, so
Break it down, Rob.
$50 tax deed properties.
Yes, sir.
Right? And you selling it, let's say you flipping that to $10,000. So this is like, you're not seeing the property, right? You're basically doing your own research, and you seeing what's around that town, and you flipping it and selling it to someone else for 10 grand.
I don't want to be misleading to your audience, right? Our mentors were selling it for 10 grand. By the time we got into the game, it was a little bit more saturated. So we were buying for $50. The $50 deals were still abundant. We were buying for $50 and selling anywhere between $1,500 and $3,500.
That's still
10xing, or what's the ROI on that?
Even more, yeah.
You know, it's going crazy on the ROI on that.
300%.
So,
Yeah, for sure.
and we made a living off of that, and that was the introduction. And now, keep in mind, when you're buying these $50 lots, these are going to be what you call infill lots, INFILL, infill lots. Infill lots stand for lots that's going to be in city areas more or suburban areas. They're going to be in an area that's surrounded by other houses, right? So they're going to be smaller lots. But for $50, as long as it's a buildable lot, who cares? You shut up and you buy them for less than a pair of, sneakers are not even that cheap at this point. So people just were unaware, and still to this day, do $50 lots exist? Excellent question. You have to get inside the game to know if these exist. Maybe not for 50, but how about 400? How about 450? How about less than for a pair of Michael Jordan's shoes? You can still buy a piece of land for. And that's no cap, as the young boys say. That's no cap. If I'm lying, I'm flying. I don't have no wings on my back. I'm telling you the exact truth. I think sometimes when it comes to us, I think that we're so real with the information that it absolutely goes over people's head. Because if everybody knew, let me break this down to you. I'm gonna look direct into your camera. If you give me $350 and I'll give you back $3,000, would you take that deal?
Absolutely.
And this is what's happening every day throughout the country. I can't make this stuff up. It's not even the prices that I'm asking for. This is what the counties are saying. Give me $300 and I'll give you a property that's worth $3,000. And it's abundant. It's thousands and thousands of lists like this.
Definitely.
We can't buy them all. That's why we teach people how to do it, because we want to see people winning it. I don't even deal with them no more. I'm on to much bigger deals. So I want to see our people come in because I know the people who taught us, I know what they look like, not like us. I know that they killed the game.
Murdered.
Absolutely murdered it.
Murdered.
First degree.
Murdered.
Now I'm gonna dive a little deeper.
Okay, let's go.
Before we really get into the meat of this, right? Before y'all linked up with your mentors, what were y'all doing before that?
Okay. Yeah. All right. We gotta. You know, it's a mixed bag when we come to that. And for me myself.
Just people want to know the journey. That's all.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. For me myself, I used to work sanitation out in Long Island. I used to do that.
Trash
I
man
was-
to the cash man.
Yeah, for sure. I was making 6 figures at that time,
good
but
money.
it's
Very good.
decent money. But however, your back don't feel good. You know what I mean? So when you're doing physical labor, you know, for me, I can't speak for anybody that's out there, but when I was doing physical labor, it was time consuming and my back was hurting, and I always wanted to get away from where I was at that current moment because I didn't want that to be my end all be all. Now, after I was leaving for the sanitation job, I was a mortgage broker for about 4 to 5 years as well. So my first time actually seeing real money and even knowing that it was possible was inside of a mortgage office. Now, this is during the time where all you needed was a heartbeat and a pulse to get a loan. You know what I mean? So this around those
That
guys, right?
era, that era.
07, 08.
Listen,
Yeah.
listen. Back then, and I ain't trying to put nobody on blast. Back then,
That's all
quick
right.
was
and
a-
loans, we were closing without appraisals. I mean, it was crazy. It was a wild, wild west back then.
man.
You know what I mean? So once I came into that space, I started seeing people generating a lot of money, right? I'm talking about like on one deal, they're generating $20,000, $30,000, $25,000. And that's where I started to see that the possibility to earning that kind of money was available, but I had to go to a place to see that. I didn't see that inside of the working arena. I seen a lot of people, and you'll hear this term a lot. I throw it around a lot. Your environment is your ceiling at that time, right? You will mimic and model everything that's around you, even when you feel it's wrong. A lot of times your environment is stronger than you. So with that being said, I had to switch my environment, and even though I was still doing the other job at the other time, to see what kind of numbers were possible outside of that place that I was in.
Powerful.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's my brother's testimonial. We all have our own testimonial, right? In our culture, right? In the words of the great Biggie Smalls, either you slinging crack rock or got a wicked jump shot, right?
Right.
And, I had both.
Okay.
I had, unfortunately, at this point, I say unfortunately, I had the experience of dealing with both. And those things we know in our community, that's a brick wall. It's leading to nowhere. I won't say ball is leading to nowhere, but you're in a highly competitive environment trying to get. I think the percentage of those that make it to the league is less than 1%. It's like one of whatever that number
Right.
is. It's a crazy number. Right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
only the elite out of the world, not even the country, out of the world make it into that space. Outside of doing those things, background is music. I was fortunate enough to land a record deal at an early age to the infamous Loud Records. I don't know if y'all remember.
Oh yeah, loud, yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
you're showing your age.
Yeah.
All right.
We got
Absolutely.
a couple of grades.
Yeah.
It's all
Shout
good. It's
out
all
to
good.
you.
We live it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we've been to a couple of industry parties at Loud Records.
So I spent a lot of time doing music. I was signed to Loud Records for 4 years, and then after that, it put me, once Loud Records folded and went over from RCA to Sony. Things got a little hectic for us, and that put me back in the real world. And then I had to get a working class citizen's job, and I became a stagehand. So it's been a long journey from a certain lifestyle that was not, I probably shouldn't have been indulging in, to some legit, and I just start legitimizing myself on up. And just, there's no blueprint for us. So you constantly have your head on a swivel, and you're looking for opportunities, right? And fortunately, I was able to link up with a partner that was in the same space as me at the same time, and that was looking to do something, right? Because when you're taking that journey, and if you could lock in with somebody that, it's always easier when you can lock in with somebody, because that confidence level of you doing it by yourself might not be there, because there is no blueprint, right? There was no father, there was no mother that was able to pass these gems down and give you a blueprint of how to go be successful. They just tell you simple things like, go get a job, right? What job? I don't know, but a job. And we all know as an African American in this country, especially as a man or a male, they just not handing out jobs to you that's going to be at the top of the food chain.
True.
Most of my jobs on the application it stated, are you able to lift 50 pounds?
Right, yeah.
If so, you're hired.
Back in the days, yeah,
Right.
for sure.
Word.
For
I
sure,
mean, we all
for
know
sure.
that.
Yeah, sure.
Can you lift 50 pounds? You're hired.
Yeah.
So, you know, there was no blueprint for us to do business or make money on a high level, right? So I always knew that, at least I always felt like I was special and supposed to be doing something big, right? My aspirations was always like not normal as the normal person. Like, what's 100,000? I made 100,000 as a stagehand, but what did that break down to living in the state of New York? $40,000. What is $40,000 doing living on Long Island? You ain't. That's not stretching too far.
You ain't going far.
So, you know, we knew that we had to do something to change those circumstances, to change those numbers. And I tell people that I even deal with to this day, that if the number that you're seeking, if there's a cap on it or if there's a ceiling on it, you need to tap into an industry that there is no ceiling, or that industry dictates that's the number that you're looking for. For me, I wasn't looking for a ceiling. Because I thought $100,000 was a lot of money until I made $100,000, right? And then you realize $100,000 is the same as making $70,000. There's really no difference in the two numbers. So I know for me, I need to be in that M class,
M class.
right?
That's
So
right. I like the M class.
Yeah. So you have to
100%.
seek higher. You have to go higher. And when we linked up and we start learning about land and we start speaking to our mentors, and our mentors are buying properties for $50 and selling for $10, and buying for $50 and selling for $12,000, that makes the velocity of money move a lot faster.
Real talk.
Wow.
So you have to tap into industries if that's what you want. Everybody might not be on the same mission that we on to make that kind of money. Because ultimately, I think the ultimate goal is just to be happy whatever amount that you're making. So if you can find happiness in $40,000, I salute you. Clap, clap, bravo. If you can find happiness in $80,000, I salute that. Ultimately, we're just looking to be happy. But for me, in the way my lifestyle is set up, I need a little more than those numbers. So I sought after an industry that would produce those kind of numbers that I was looking for. I have a real big smile on my face when we're dealing with high numbers. Right?
For sure.
Right.
For
So
sure.
that brings joy.
It's a real thing. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a real thing.
This episode is already legendary.
Yeah, for
It's
sure.
already legendary. We're gonna make you spit some bars before the end of this interview.
Oh,
You know that right now.
You about to take it back? You know what I mean?
So
Yeah.
let's get into the beat. Let's get into the beat of it. Let's
Yeah,
get
for
into the
sure.
beat of it. Because the audience is waiting. They want to know. They want to know. All right. So, land.
That's right.
I guess the first question is, I'm thinking of an audience member watching this right now.
Okay.
Like, what question would they ask, right, Rob?
Yeah, I mean, they would ask.
How
they would
much money?
say,
Like, how much money do I need to get
how much
that?
how much money do I need? And also, there's a lot of swamp lands out there too. There's a lot of swamp lands out there.
Yeah, a lot of
how
different
do I get the research? How do I do the research? Because I don't know. Let's say New York is expensive. I want to go out of state. I want to buy land out of state. How do I know it's not underneath? I got to check underneath that land. I got to make sure everything is right. And yeah, talk about all that.
And well, here's part of our process, right? Part of our process when we evaluate land, we use first stage of due diligence. It's called the facts, right? Facts is spelled F-A-A, got two A's in this one, F-A-A-C-T-S, right?
Hold on, Jay. Like, they threw it back and forth.
Okay, we about to go. Let's go for flow.
Let's see if we can
Okay,
duplicate.
let's
Go
go
for
for
it.
flow. Let's go for flow. So now that we understand what it is, right? So we about to do a little something out. So my partner, the F stands for,
Floodplain.
the A stands for,
Adjacent.
the other A stands for,
Access.
the C stands for,
Comparables.
the T stands for,
Topography.
the S stands for,
Slope.
That's our first stage of due diligence. We're evaluating any property, right? Because all of those things that you see right there are things that we're going to check for to make sure that this is a proper acquisition candidate in order for us to buy this particular property. For sure. That's our first stage due diligence.
Wow.
So, I mean, let's go into detail with all of those
For sure.
letters.
For sure, absolutely. So for the F, right, we typically don't buy properties that are inside of a flood zone, right? And the reason why we don't buy properties in some occasions that are inside of that flood zone is because those properties are deemed to be unbuildable. The soil is not going to be able to be built on those particular properties, right? Now you have different uses for properties, right? Because some of the properties that we buy, they are good for a flood zone because they're used for recreational property, so it doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? So it depends on what we're actually targeting, which is going to make the difference. The A for access, right? There's a such thing inside the land business called landlocked property, right? Which means you have a property that has access from the street, and then there'll be another parcel of property that is in the back of that. That property is going to be technically landlocked if there's no easement that goes to that actual property, right? So we're going to go to adjacent. Adjacent is going to be what is possible for your property, right? Is going to be made up of all the things that are around it. So if you see somebody is built on this piece of property over there, that is going to show you what's possible for that piece of property that you're actually investing in. And you can hit the rest of them right there.
So, all right, so we had the C. C is going to be for comparables. Comparables stand for what are properties selling for in that area. That'll let you know what you're paying for. Is that a good price that you're putting out for the offer of your property? Then we have the T, which is topography. What's on the property? What sits on the property? Is there cars that's parked on the property? Is there valuable timber or equitable timber that's on the property? That's going to be your topography. And S is going to be for slopes. Depending on what state that you're playing in, most places we try to stay away from slopes, but if you're in a mountainous area, slopes are typically allowed in mountainous areas. You're going to do what the area dictates, and you're going to do the same thing with your properties. So you definitely want to check for slopes, and more importantly, you want to make sure there's not a big drop off. That's what we're really checking for slope, that there's not. If you could imagine this slope is an acceptable slope. But if there's a slope and there's a drop off, that means that there's a hole. So we just don't want to be buying properties that have big drop offs on it, because that's not going to be valuable property.
Got you.
And keep in mind, right, how we view these things. We use things called GIS maps, right? GIS maps are maps that are going to allow us to check all of these things that we're talking about, right? This is why, like I was saying earlier in the episode, where we could be everywhere and nowhere at the same time. The only thing we have to do is to plug in the identifying parcel, which would be an APN, which is called an assessor's parcel number. Once we plug that in and the county that the property is located in, it's going to go directly to that piece of property and allow us to evaluate that property completely digitally.
So this ain't Google Maps.
Well,
Not for nothing.
Yeah,
Google Maps is a viable,
excellent resource.
Viable resource.
Excellent
it's
resource.
a free resource. It's a free tool that we do use. Google Maps is excellent. More importantly, Google Earth is just as important. We use Google Earth a lot in our business. Google Earths allow us to see a satellite image with a date on it that shows us, right? A lot of times especially when you're dealing with auctions, right? That's why we stay away from houses. But sometimes when you buying land, there was a house that existed on that land. So the house may be showing up on the image that you're buying, right? Google Earth will allow us to come and see an overview of that area at a particular time, and it's done by the year. So Google Earth will take you back for 10 years. So 10 years ago, if you go back, now I'm talking about specifics. If you're in the business, this is a very necessary thing that you need to know. If you use Google Earth and you put the date back, you can adjust the date on Google Earth. Image on 2012, there'll be a house on the property. Then you move the date up to 2023, it'll give you a whole different image, and the house is gone. What does that say to us? That is vacant land.
For sure.
Wow.
So
So
Google
the-
Earth is very valuable.
So the state. So let's say they demolish or they tear down the property,
Yes, sir.
and the land is still there. Doesn't the bank own that land?
Not necessarily.
Necessarily.
The bank, we talking about tax deeds. What's going to happen is we do two things in our business, right? We do auctions and we do direct to owner. So if we're looking at an auction, that means that if it's on the auction chopping block, that means that the person didn't pay the taxes on the property, and the local, state, county, or municipality has taken the property back, and you have the opportunity to come in and bid on that property for the taxes that's owed at that point. At that point, you just need to know how to do the homework on the property. So those tools, those free resources, like a Zillow, like a Google Maps, like a Google Earth, like a GSI map, whatever one that you tapped into, because there's several GSI map services that you can tap into. Right. Whatever ones that you're using, just know what you're looking at to evaluate a piece of land. We don't deal with houses because there's too many things to worry about. You have to worry about plumbing. You have to worry about electric. You have to worry about roofs. You have to worry about the foundation. You have to worry about lock boxes. There's all kind of things to worry about when you're dealing with houses. When you're dealing with land, we buy it as is and we sell it as is. If a meteor fell out the sky and it put a hole in the land, big deal. We'll put more dirt in it, and then it's back to being valuable land. If the trees fall off on it, so what? Plant more seeds. It'll grow back, and then you sell the land at that point. Or it just loses a little value if the trees fell on it. And a word of advice is that I think most people that look like us think that if the land is clear and the trees is gone, that's a more valuable property. No, not necessarily so. It's something that's called timber value. We like to give our sellers, our buyers, we like to give them the land with the timber on it and let them have a blank canvas and decide where they want to put their structure at or their home site at. Like, we don't want to remove anything. So we like it when it's just a plot of land that's covered in timber. When we say timber, we're talking about trees. The most equitable trees are going to be pine trees and oak trees, right? So when you're buying a piece of land and it's covered in oak trees and pine trees, very valuable to those that know what they're looking at. So we buy it as is and we sell it as is.
For sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just say it now before I forget. Have you guys built y'all dream homes yet?
Not
built.
yet.
No, not yet. Not yet. Coming soon, though.
Just curious.
Coming soon. Though.
And the reason why
Coming
we
soon.
haven't is because, fortunately for us in our land business, this has allowed us to fire our 9-to-5s, and we are what you consider to be land flippers.
Right.
So, as being a land flipper, it's not about us holding on to anything. It's about us getting inside and outside of a deal as fast as possible.
So that's
Great
possible.
segue. So how do you do that? And when you say how fast, so you buy a piece of land for $350, $500, $1,000. Who are we selling this piece of land to?
Okay, let's bring up the denomination a little bit. Let's just say, we bought a piece of property for $30,000, which we do frequently.
He said you too cheap.
Yeah. Let's bring it up a little bit.
Fair enough.
And let's just say, right, that the property's worth $100,000. Let's just say, right, which is real numbers, right? So from that point in time, there's, for all of my business people out there, you have, you got high profit margins and low profit margins, right? Because we're coming in at about 25 to 30% on the dollar based on our acquisition price, right? You cannot really offend me with an offer when I know that property's worth $100,000.
Let's give him a real example.
And if okay,
give him a real example.
Okay, go ahead.
Real life example is we just closed. In fact, we're in contract with a 35 acre that we bought for $44,000.
35 acres?
35 acres that we picked up for $44,000.
Damn.
We started list price off for $125,000. So that's like $80,000 on the deal. So when he's talking about profit margins, you can't really offend me with an offer. So if a property is on sale for $125,000 and you offer me $90,000 and I paid $40,000 for it, am I really mad that I'm making 50 grand on a deal?
50 grand off a deal, yeah.
So that's why these profit margins are very important to us. That's why we target rural markets, right? Because when you're dealing with rural markets, many times this land is what is going to be deemed not undesirable, but vacant. Vacant in the sense that people that own this land, they no longer have any use for it. or they can't pass it down to their grandchildren or their youth. Because why? Because grandkids these days and youth these days, they don't go outside. They don't want to deal with vacant land, 35 acres of it. They want to do this. They want to be on their phone these days. So many times what we do is we call it mailbox money. I'm breaking down the whole game to you on Team South by Show. I'm breaking down the whole game to we send money to mailbox. When you go to your mailbox, what's in your mailbox typically?
A bill.
A bill. Gas bill, light bill, Destiny's Child. Can you pay my bills? Yeah, y'all know the story. But we send money to mailbox. We do the opposite, right? So how we got the 35 acre is that we sent money to that person's mailbox saying, I'll give you $44,000 for your 35 acres.
Meaning you wrote a letter.
We don't per se write letters. We systemize this.
Systemize
I
it.
haven't touched a letter. I'll never touch a letter.
Okay.
Right? We show you how to systemize this,
Okay.
that you get a bunch of offers out. And when we speak of offers are going to be, I don't care what industry you're in. It's called make more offers to make more money.
True.
So in our business, we make a ton of offers. In our case, the Acre Boyzz case, we're upwards of 20 grand per month of making offers of buying land. That's why we have a consistent flow of land that we buy, a consistent flow of land that we sell, because we're on the market to buy a lot of land. So you get an offer from us to buy your land for a discounted price. The velocity of that moves fast, and the chances of that getting accepted is very high. Why? Because we use what we call direct marketing, right? And why is direct marketing so effective? It's the number one form of advertising in 2003. Jay, what happens when we use this form of advertising in 2003? I'll let him explain that.
Yeah, I think that direct mail is the most powerful resource available. It's not social media. It's not billboards. It's not anything like that. And the reason why is it has a 95 to 97% open rate. See, social media moves so fast, right, that you're constantly scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. When you get a letter that looks professional, it's addressed to you and everything. Let me ask both of y'all a question. Do you open it?
Absolutely.
And that was gonna be my question. Like,
Right.
what would make me not just tear it up like it's just another sweepstake or whatever?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? What would make me not tear up your letter?
Well, I believe once you open it and you see we're talking about a specific property that you own and the letter looks credible, if you're interested to any degree, you're going to go ahead and call that number that's on that particular thing. And it's so specific that there's an actual number that we're actually offering you on that piece of paper. Once you're looking at it, if I have it priced out, let's say it's worth $100,000 and I got you priced at $35,000, that might be enough for me to pique your interest in order for you to give me a call back and see if that offer is valid or real. So that's why direct mail is so powerful, because it allows us to put thousands of offers out at one time. It's like casting a fishing net. You're going to have some people that are not going to be interested in it, but you're also going to have those people who are going to be interested in selling for that price, or possibly they might want to negotiate a little bit. When I'm pricing you at 25 to 30% on the dollar, my ability to move up and still make the deal make sense for me is going to be very, very high when it comes to that.
Let me give you and your audience a real life example, right? I'm gonna break this into layman's terms for you, right? You ever owned a pair of Jordans? Any of you owned a pair of Michael Jordan shoes?
Yes.
Yes.
Right. How much did you pay for them?
$350.
$350, right? Let's say you bought those shoes, because we know Michael Jordan shoes have been going around since what, the 80s?
Yeah.
Right? All they do is recycle them, right? So let's say you bought them for $350 in 2012, a pair of Michael Jordan shoes, $350. I came in 2023 for those same shoes you bought in 2012, and I said, I'll give you $75 for those shoes that's sitting in your closet. They're sitting in your closet collecting dirt. You ain't wore those shoes in 11 years. Would you at least entertain the $75 offer?
I
Absolutely,
would.
yeah.
$75 I didn't have.
It's the same thing that we do in the land.
Same process.
It's the same exact thing.
I get that concept. But then how about the pieces of land that's out there that is completely vacant? How do you guys put bids on that?
Well, here's what we do, right? I'll break this down for you. We have right.
And how do you put bids on that? And who are you selling them
Got
to?
you. I got you on both. I got you on both.
Okay.
What we have, right? We basically have what we call data aggregators. Basically, what that is like to have in the county assessor's office, right in the comfort of your own home, right? So let's just say I'm looking at a county in Tennessee, and in Tennessee, I see the properties are moving well, but in between 5 and 7 acres, right? I'm able to pull the records for everyone who owns a 5 to 7 acre. That's how I'm going to go ahead and put my mail campaign together, and I'm going to price it at 25 to 30% on a dollar, just to make sure that to attract enough attention that I can possibly get a deal at that number. And the buyers for these particular properties, right? Once you understand how the business goes and as far as it being efficient, once the buyers go ahead and looking at these properties, we found out a long time ago that typically the buyers live between 1.5 to 2 mile radius of the property. Those are going to be the people that are most interested in that property. So what we'll do,
they know the area.
Absolutely. So what we'll do is we'll put something together called neighbor letters, right? Neighbor letters we're going to sell. Let's just say we're selling them maybe 100 pieces that we're sending out. We're going to offer them a discount initially because they live in the area before we bring it to market. So we're going to give them exclusive rights to go ahead and purchase this property because we know they have the most use for it. And that's how we're going to attract a lot of our buyers. And outside of that, what we'll do, there are what these things called land brokers out there. Land brokers are the equivalent of real estate agents. These people have been in these markets for 25, 30 years. They know the lay of the land like the back of their hand. And what these people have, they come with existing buyers lists of people who are already qualified and ready to buy property. So between those two strategies, you can't go wrong because once you buy it right, it always sells right.
And these buyers are buying. Well, I guess you don't really care what they do with the property, right? You just keep it moving.
Yeah, for sure.
But are these people homeowners, store owners? Like
I'm gonna tell you something crazy, right?
Yes, sir.
60% of the property that we sell don't go to people who actually want to put structures on the property. 60% of the properties that we sell are recreational property. RVs, hunting, if it has a pond on it, fishing, different things like that. Recreational property is the number one, as far as the country, is the number one land that's sold. It's not for structures, it's for recreational uses.
Wow.
Yep.
You know when y'all talk about that, I'm thinking about Pennsylvania, and there's a group of people that's like you guys are like the middleman. You guys are like the wholesalers.
No.
No wholesale. No wholesale.
We don't
because
like the
we
word
actually buy
wholesale.
the property.
You
Wholesale.
buy
Not direct. Not direct.
Yeah, right.
Direct to consumer.
Yeah. Wholesale.
direct to customer.
Yeah, direct to customer. Wholesale
Gotcha.
actually gets the contract, they tie it up, and then they go look for it.
They go look for it. Buy it.
When
Okay.
we come across property, we buy it.
You
we
buy it. Okay. Gotcha.
Wholesalers, they have to find a buyer for it.
Right.
Like,
Okay.
We
Right.
want a
So because
property,
I gotta
we buy it.
separate, because in real estate,
Yeah, for
direct marketing, you're doing the wholesaling.
Yeah, no
you're doing
wholesaling.
Yeah,
for
yeah,
it.
yeah.
And
No
no
Okay.
disrespect.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Let me clear that up. No
Yeah.
disrespect to wholesalers
For sure.
because
Right.
wholesalers
For sure.
sometimes bring us decent deals,
Right.
but we are not
That was my
wholesalers.
next question.
We
Yeah,
don't
for sure.
drive
Deal
for
with
dollars.
wholesalers. Okay.
We don't do text campaigns.
Cold
we don't
calls,
knock on
none
doors.
of
We
that.
don't do cold callers.
that.
Our buyers contact us when they're ready to sell.
That's right.
A question that we asked earlier, we just went off on a tangent.
Sure.
How much does one need to get in to purchase some land?
All right, so there's two things, as I stated earlier, that we do. Tax deed investing, when you're
Okay.
buying from online auctions, you can find properties for as little as $150, $250. And I'm going to drop on this podcast, I'm going to tell you right now to go see it for yourself. Don't take my word, right? A lot of people say a lot of things on podcasts. Don't take my word. Head over to a site that's called Bid for Assets. When you get to Bid for Assets, type in the search engine, type in land. What you're going to see on the screen is you're going to see a heading that has the price. Just click that. It'll toggle you to the cheapest land or the most expensive land. When you get to the cheapest land, you're going to find that there's properties that start at $150. $175, $250. And this ranges from $150 all the way up to $200,000. So how much money do you need to be an entry-level investor? It starts at $150.
Yeah.
We have people in our program right now. There's an auction going on in Michigan that we did a training on. We have people inside of our program in totality about between 4 or 5 different investors. They won about 18 deals. We had a young lady last week win 15 deals from the Michigan auction. She bought 15 properties for $300 a piece. She's going to turn around and sell each property for $2,500. She's 10x in the money, damn near.
What's the largest?
Wow.
What's the largest piece of property you guys purchased?
The largest piece of property is 260 acres. It's the largest piece of property.
260 acres of
260
land.
acres, you know,
Wow.
and just for reference, that Disney World is 500 acres, so it's half the size of Disney World.
Wow.
Right. So on this property, you know, there's a 10,000 square foot mansion on it. There's 3 other residential homes.
I was gonna say this ain't
ain't
Brooklyn.
No, this ain't Brooklyn.
Word.
This is the country.
260
260
acres,
acres
bro.
has 2 commercial buildings on it. It has a 3-acre lake on it that's stocked with, you know, striped bass and all different kind of fish. We bought that property for 3.4. We're selling that right now for about 6.7. So yeah, it's a
And that's
it's
M's.
a massive. That's M's.
So
Absolutely.
so
Wow. What state is this?
This is in Mississippi.
so in Mississippi, a family or a person, single person
this was-
owned.
Yeah, owned. Right. So basically, what this guy did, and here's the interesting part about this. This was so powerful about mail, right? When he initially got our mailer, it was not for that property. It was for another property that he owned. But there's always a question that we ask when we're doing the mailers, right? Do you have anything else that you might potentially want to sell? That's the way
Smart.
that you can turn one deal into 10 deals.
10 deals, yep.
Really, really fast. But you'll never know if you don't ask the question. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? And that's how that deal came about. It was not from the initial letter. It came from asking that particular question. And we stumbled across something that we didn't even know that we can actually get. You know what I'm saying?
No, it's interesting because, you know, something like that, you driving by, you're looking at this land. Because, you know, when we go to, like, the Dutch countries and, you know, you driving by, you're like, look at all this cornfield. And it's like, damn, you never think in your mind, like, I could own that.
Right. Never. Especially when you come from an urban environment. You don't really.
Let me paint
for
this
sure.
picture because I don't want people to think that all we deal with is things that's like deep on the outskirts, right? And what we teach, this philosophy and these techniques works anywhere. It even works in city areas. But just expect if you're targeting areas that's in the heart of the city, we specialize in buying land for 25 to 30% on the dollar. But if you're in the heart of the city, expect to pay more. Common sense, right? If you want to target land that's in suburban areas or areas that's densely populated, you're going to pay more, right? We have a student, we don't use the word students, I'm sorry. We use the word investors because that's what we show people how to do, invest in properties. If we have an investor in the program that caught a lot in the heart of Long Island. She caught it for $60,000. Two properties.
2 lots.
She caught it one for $60,000. List price on it is $260,000. Now, I don't want your audience to be confused and think that these are normal numbers. That's what we call a home run deal. Buy for $60, list price $260. Coming out the gate. That is a home run deal. But we tell everybody, as you know, you're a ball player. You miss 1,000% of the shots that you don't take. So once you're inside of the game and you swinging for the fences, you never know what kind of deals that you're gonna run across. She caught 2 whoppers on her first go round. Her second deal was a buy for $55,000, list price $160,000. Both on Long Island. Highly densulated area. Nothing rural about these areas. So it works on all aspects of the game, but it really works in rural communities because in rural communities it's going to be vacant, unwanted land that nobody's using.
Yeah,
Because it's not saturated.
It's not saturated because I know. I was just gonna say. I remember a few years ago when I, dipping dabbing into the real estate when I first started. I was like, I started looking at lots in Newark.
Newark, okay.
Oh,
okay,
you know,
okay.
like that, those part, you know, like
right.
that part of Jersey.
Right.
So now I got frustrated because, you know, you see the for sale by owner sign, like these little lots next to the hood,
Right,
you know,
right.
they're in the hood.
Right.
It's just trying to find that owner
Right.
because that owner may not be around.
Right.
That owner,
He could live across,
he could live,
across the country, whatever
across the
case may be.
country.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
can't get. So you guys teach like a lot of people how to get in touch with the actual owner.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's the name of the game. You know, like I said, the land business is a data-driven industry, right? Once you understand the data, we're not sitting back and throwing darts at a dartboard and just guessing.
Gotcha.
The data makes up all of our decision making. Once you understand how to look at the data and how to source properties, you'll understand how to go ahead and sell properties on the other end. So part of what the due diligence for us, first thing we're going to do is find out who owns the property and their address and where they're located so we can go ahead and craft an offer for them.
Send some money to their mailbox.
That's right. Get it
Say,
right
hey,
over there.
If that owner's not around,
That's right.
or alive, I should say.
Yeah. Now,
You go through next, like those siblings or the
well,
next
I'll tell you
next of
something
kin.
interesting. That's called air property, right? And a lot of things with air property, some people deal with it a lot, but inside of air property, sometimes, let's just say the mother and the father died and they left it to, you know, the kids, whatever the case may be. There's 10 kids. In order for us to get that deal done, all 10 of those family members have to agree. The likelihood of all 10 people agreeing on one thing is not that likely. So what we found is that's really, really time consuming and actually not worth the time. So we're not really looking for heir property unless there's maybe 2 heirs. But once you start going into, and if one of those people died, it goes to their children. So it starts to be a tangled web that you weave. You're going down a rabbit hole that you're going to waste a lot of time where you could just open the next letter and create another deal.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? So
Gotcha.
yeah.
You know what this sounds like to me? It sounds like building wealth. It sounds like generational freedom to me, what you guys are talking about. And it's powerful information, man.
For sure. For sure.
This is a powerful interview. Tell us about the programs that you guys are offering, the investors. Like how many investors, I know you don't call them students, how many investors you've got now part of your team that you're helping out? Because a big part of this is giving back, and you guys are giving back. You guys are educating, giving information. Talk to us about how deep the crew is.
Well, currently, our program has been on the market for about 8 months, 8 or 9 months. We have about 150, 160 investors inside of our program. Big shout out to our investors. I mean, if I could shed some light on some of them, the deals that's coming through the program, very, very proud of it. I didn't know when we did a program in totality what that actually meant.
It looked like, for
and
real.
what it looked like. But to
real.
see now that you're helping people change their lives and put some money into their pockets, totally gratifying. In particular, we're seeing deals. One of our first investors, one of their first deals was a buy for 19, sell for 45,000. That student, and what I like about our program is that these are everyday people. These are first timers with no experience in the land business, and they're able to come in and take the program and learn from it and actually cash out. So a lot of people have programs, but it's not tangible things that they can actually do and actually go and see these results from. We're seeing these real testimonials. In particular, one investor that stands out to me through our tax deed program, he bought a lot for $1,500 for a property that was worth $45,000.
Wow.
45,000, yeah.
Even myself, I take a step back.
Right.
sometimes.
Yeah,
Right,
for sure.
right.
It's crazy.
And that's another one that we call a home run of the deal. But if you're not in the game, you never stand a chance at hitting a home run. Now, if we want to talk about things that's more typical, we have 2 programs. Silver program is our tax deed program. That typically looks like buy for 500, buy for 800, sell for 35. Still good numbers, modest, good numbers, right? How many can you do? We teach our people not to settle on one deal. We teach our people to go for all that's available. How many deals can you do in a calendar month? So if you can flip over $500 or $800 and make $2,000 on it, how many can you do in a month? Can you do 6? Can you do 7? Absolutely you can. And in that month, I'm sure we all can use an increase or a bump of an extra $4, extra $5, extra $6,000. Then we have our bigger program to where that's where you're going to buy land at any acreage size, whether that's a 1 acre or a 260 acre. That there's no ceiling on that. Only ceiling on that is the imposed one that you put on yourself. You're able to make as much money as you're willing to go after inside of that program. And typical deal in that program, currently, one of our investors, I'm just throwing numbers that come to mind because there's a lot of deals in the pipeline. She has a buy for $6,700. List price is going to be $27,000 on that deal. Excellent deal. That's going to be typical numbers. And guess what? We didn't mention this. She don't put any money out of her pocket. We provide what we call deal funding in our program. And what deal funding is, she needs $6,700. The Acre Boyzz are going to put that $6,700 up. Wants to sell for $27,000. We'll split the profit with her. We'll get our $6,700 and we'll split the remaining 20. She'll get a 10 grand and we'll get the 10 grand. So that's what I find most attractive about our about our program, is that you don't need the money for the deals. You need money to come into the program, but you don't need actual money to complete a deal. Learn how to find deals. We have the money. We have access to more money than we have actual deals.
For sure.
Wow.
For
Especially
sure.
if y'all selling 260 acres.
Some acres out this mug. Word.
I'm inspired, Rob. I don't know about you.
Yeah, definitely inspired.
Team
man.
South by Say is gonna buy some land, bro.
Yeah, for sure.
Can businesses buy land?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Team South by Say
Hands down.
podcast is gonna
Yeah.
is
We're
gonna buy some land.
Yeah,
We're
for
gonna
sure.
we're gonna
There's
We've gifted land.
Yeah.
We just completed the tour with 19 keys. We did about 9 cities to 10 cities. I don't know how many we actually
yeah,
did,
we did
but
the
it
whole,
was like
we did the
9
whole
or
tour
10.
with him, yeah.
And our first stop was at the infamous Apollo Theater, and it was his birthday as well as my birthday that day. So for his birthday, we gave the brother 2 acres of land for his birthday.
That's what's
so
up.
there's a lot to do in the land space. There's a lot of opportunity out there. We just need our people to know it so they can tap in and become our next success story of these kind of deals that we spoke about.
Dope.
I do have a question about land, and we always talk about this even when I was growing up. Putting cattle on your land. Now, explain that process. Like putting cattle on your land, you save taxes, you don't pay taxes.
Absolutely.
Tax
is that
break.
Yeah,
tax breaks?
Super tax breaks, because once you put livestock on your land, now you're considered a farm. And the tax breaks for farms are completely different than any other thing in the world. The tax breaks are going to be huge when it comes to doing stuff like that. So now, it was an article that came out a long time ago. They were clowning somebody for, he had a bull or something like that. But he didn't know that was a tax play. A lot of people didn't know that was a tax play. So now once you go ahead and put that livestock on there, now you're technically classified as a farm. So now your taxes go dramatically down.
And land is
just based off of
typically
livestock. Yeah.
It's typically, as far as taxes, it's always going to be lower than
Always.
traditional real
sure.
estate. Significantly lower than traditional real estate.
Always. And when you talk about closing costs, right? When you, I don't care if we're talking about a 40 or 50 acre property, the closing costs on a 40 or 50 acre property is typically about in between $1,500 to $1,800 for that size of a property. Now, if you were dealing with traditional real estate, right, houses, it's usually 6 to 8% of the actual loan amount or whatever the case may be. That's what you're going to pay taxes on. But when you're dealing with strictly just land, taxes are always going to be cheaper, and closing costs are tremendously cheaper than when you're dealing with structure.
Wow.
Cheapest
That's
taxes we saw, we had
Sure.
a 2 acre that we was paying $6 a year for.
For sure.
Wow, $6.
$6.
A year.
Amazing.
A
So,
year.
has any of you or your investors came across a deal where there was like you own the land and there's a strip mall deal where somebody wants to, a builder, a developer wants to put a strip mall on there and you guys work a deal out or whatever?
Yeah, no, not as far as that, because we don't really typically teach them. They can go after that if that's what they desire to, but we don't typically teach them to do that because, especially coming out of the gate, that's going to come with a lot of red tape and a lot of flags. What we like to do is give them proof of concept first. First, we want to get you to do a couple of deals our way in order to give you the confidence to go ahead and make it yours at the end. So if they wanted to go ahead and go after commercial properties, strip malls, and different things like that, they can go ahead and go after that stuff. stuff, but we want you to get the proof of concept before you start venturing off to more complicated deals like that.
And the other reason why we would stay away, me and him, we stay away from things like that is because inside of the city limits is a lot of restrictions and there's a lot of laws that you have to abide by. We love land outside of city limits. That means that you can do whatever you like to do with the land.
No zoning.
That's why it sells a lot faster for us, because there's no zoning. You can do whatever you like. You can put a strip mall, or you can just use it for recreational land. So outside of the city limits, unbeknownst to most of us, is highly favorable. It became really favorable with COVID. That's when the term Zoom cities became really popular. And a lot of people started to move towards Zoom cities because they didn't want to be in city. Do you remember what New York City looked like when COVID was going on?
Vacant.
Vacant. Extremely.
So people started working from home, and they wanted to be far away from people. So Zoom cities became highly populated at that time, and still to this day, they're still very popular. People want to be an hour and a half to 2 hours away from a major attraction or a major city. If you can find land that's within that radius, it's going to sell. It's going to sell fast like hotcakes.
Joe, how much time we have?
We can keep going on these cameras.
On those two? All right, I just got a couple questions before we wrap up.
For sure.
How long have you guys been doing this? You probably answered this question before, but just for mine, I probably forgot. Because this is going to lead into my next question.
Yeah, for sure. The land business we've been doing for 7 years.
All right, so
sir.
7 years, obviously you guys are successful, doing this full time. You're blessing other people, educating people. Personal question, what are you doing with your personal money are you guys also only investing in land? Like, what else are you guys doing to create your generational wealth for you and your families?
Things that we're doing with our money is like we're building a brand, right? So when you're first generational money, we're definitely first generational money. When you're first generational money, there's no blueprint. So we're actually studying what other people have, successful entrepreneurs have done with their money. And when you're in business and when you open up a business, right, it goes back into the business. So a good majority of our money goes right back into the business. What people don't know about the Acre Boyzz is for the first 3 years of business, we didn't take a dime.
$0.
We didn't put any money in our pockets. Everything that we made went right back into the business. So current date, we're working on branding this whole Acre Boyzz name, the whole Land and Legacy, Acre Boyzz Academy. That's new for us. So we're working on branding and putting everything back into the business.
Here's a question.
Inspirational.
Any ideas of Acre Girls? Because I'm just saying, y'all got male and female investors.
I'm gonna share something with you, right? Inside of our program, and for everybody that's listening, the females are absolutely dominating inside of our program.
It's crazy, right?
75% of our program are women.
Yeah, they run
so
it.
all my guys, all my fellas, what's up?
We need some
We
representation.
need some representation.
We need some
inside of the
muscles.
program.
That is crazy.
75% of our program
75%.
are females.
Yeah.
Shout out to the ladies.
Shout
Yeah,
out
for
to the
sure.
ladies
They
because
doing their thing.
they're holding
They
it
doing
down.
their thing. They doing their thing.
Damn.
So we don't like the name Acre Girls. It don't got that same ring.
It doesn't.
Right,
It really
right.
doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
But y'all still winning with the ladies.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, well,
For
y'all
sure,
good.
for
Y'all
sure,
good.
for sure.
Y'all
So we
good.
try to put
Yeah.
the ladies. We put them under the umbrella of the program name, Land and
Okay.
Land and
Legacy.
Legacy. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Very
That's
nice.
what's up.
Very
For sure.
nice. Very nice. Before
Definitely.
y'all get out of here, y'all gotta let people know where they can find you, because they will be tapping in for sure.
Instagram, Acre Boyzz, like you see on the shirt. 2 Z's. That's on Instagram. YouTube, Acre Boyzz. We drop a lot of gems on that. And if you want to tap into our personal website to where you can go see and hear all the testimonials that we spoke about. We have real testimonials, not paid testimonials. No pun to anybody. I'm just saying that over here we have real testimonials, and you can hear those on our page at acreboyzzacademy.com. acreboyzzacademy.com, and you can hear about what we do and how you can be involved at acreboyzzacademy.com. We would love to service you in all of your land needs, whether that's buy a piece of property from the Acre Boyzz or come and learn from the Acre Boyzz how to buy the property at deep discounted properties. We'll love to have you on our team.
For sure, definitely.
Any thoughts of buying, looking into property or land in impoverished areas, like in certain countries in Africa or Haiti or Caribbean islands?
We didn't expand out there yet, but that is definitely a goal of ours to expand it past the U.S. Right now, we're strictly located in the U.S. A lot of times when we go outside, we were looking into some other things before, but the access to data is not the same as it is here. So it's going to make your job a lot harder actually doing that. So right now, we're essentially located in the United States right now with plans to reach out eventually, for sure.
Beautiful. We got to do the questions. The secret questions, each one for each of y'all.
Okay, secret questions. Okay.
Personal questions.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Okay.
You take one, just pass one off to him.
Just pass one to me.
Oh, this is like a fortune cookie.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Let's see what we got here.
What you got?
What's one thing you can change about yourself? My damn bank account. I like that.
More money.
Let's go up.
That is true. That's what's up.
All right, well, mine's is, let's check this out here. What was the most uncomfortable place you've ever been in? It's a state that you probably overheard of. It's called complacency.
Ooh.
It's called complacency. It's a real place, too.
It is
It's a real place, too.
That's like a mic drop.
Yeah.
That's a mic drop. That's a mic drop.
Yeah, it's for real.
That's a mic drop.
It's a
Wow.
state. 'Cause listen, I know everybody out there is familiar with this. If you standing in the same place for the same time, I hear a lot of people, hear a lot of complaints. I hear a lot of, everybody just accepting what's given to them, but you only are going to find your true voice when you find what's meant for you. Like I heard this one thing that Will Smith said. He said, at birth, we are all born with wings, but you only realize them when you jump. So that's a real powerful thing, man. So just find your voice, find your niche. We are all born with gifts and abilities beyond probably things that we can believe. And if anybody's asking out there, what's your gift? What is the thing that you do with ease that it takes other people a lot of effort to do? That's your gift. It's simpler than you think. It's real simple.
Wow, I'll give the last ball to the artist.
Damn.
To the rapper, I'll give the last ball to you. Go ahead, my brother.
Yeah, I got bars. Let me not dig into that.
I didn't forget.
Like, listen, man.
Whatever you want to say, it's on you.
I'm coming. I got
Room shakers, big boys, with huge paper.
He said, I got bars.
Like I don't like. What you thinking? You still smoking and drinking, hoping and waiting that things will come save it. I got a couple of bars. Let me fold that.
Listen, shout out to the,
LS
We're gonna be yo, what y'all think of that LS Cream?
Yo,
I think
listen,
the
that
LS
was good,
Cream
man.
was real
Smooth.
smooth.
I liked it for sure.
But on a
Real
serious note, outside of hip hop music, outside of everything that we know to be popular in our culture, land is a hard asset. Land is the first real estate transaction
Ever
in the history of America. That's right. Land is biblical. God had said, go till the land. God gave us earth. He said, go till the land. Come inside the land space, whether that's getting education from the Acre Boyzz or from anybody else that you find to give you the proper language and tutelage or mentorship. Is a lot to do. As we stated, half of America is vacant and for sale. You just need to tap into it. Land hasn't failed anyone. It's the people that has failed the land. Get the education first, and you too can be a successful land investor. So we absolutely thank y'all for having us on the show. We feel privileged. We feel honored. Anytime we get a chance to speak about it, we're thrilled to do so. And our motto is invest in dirt.
It's a clean way to make money.
Jeez.
Let's
Mic
go,
dropping.
yo.
With that
These
said,
dudes.
Team South by Say,
Yeah.
we out.
Peace, y'all.
These dudes are dropping bars, bro.
LS Cream, the perfect blend of spices and tradition inspired by Haitian cremas. Please drink responsibly.
Beat.